Hey everyone, J-Rob Plays here, and today I'm going to be covering the Acclaim system and the feedback that I have as well regarding who should really be grinding the Acclaim system. I've seen some videos out there, people talking about how the Acclaim system is something that you shouldn't really be focused on, that you should really just focus on your characters, and that you should stop grinding Acclaim because it can actually hold you back. And while I can understand the sentiment behind that, you want to make sure that whenever you're looking at this, that you're taking the Acclaim system for what it is. The Acclaim system is kind of a new way or a higher level of advancing or progressing your character's abilities and also your abilities to strengthen those characters further. So it's kind of like in Destiny 2, whenever you used to hit that 400 and then you were trying to push to 450 last season, it was that like additional push that took you from getting tier 4s up to getting the tier 5s. Tier 4s were good and well and fine, and you could clear the game with them, but tier 5s were the end goal. And so the Acclaim system is essentially taking your character to that tier 5, quote unquote, tier 5 level and getting your character, and it kind of forces you by giving you those quests to get your character into that scenario. So like, for example, when we were looking at Wolf, that was my first character that I was working on. He had a lower level to get to. It was actually higher than this at one point, but they lowered it a couple of steps down to 6,300. And I was able to get through his progression quickly because the game kind of made me get through Wolf's progression just to clear the game in the first place. At that point, I was mostly done with the bronze medal, and getting the silver and the gold were just that additional aspirational setup, and it kind of taught me how to level them properly, right? Like some of these stuff was really easy, like looking at Wolf's Flames and stuff like that. Like that's really easy to do. But then when you start looking at the upgrades that you get, like those were actually a significant upgrade when you first started doing things. So like your artifact drop, you were actually able to start getting exotic artifacts. That's a huge boost in power, and that's a huge power boost overall for your characters when you start getting them all exotic artifacts with all good bonuses and proper stats. And to do that, you actually have to be able to get them. So that's the Acclaim system. Tier 2 was a 21% increase, essentially 121% of the previous level's drop rate, the way that the math works. So it wasn't like taking 10% to 31%, it was 21% of 10%, if that's what your drop rate was, for example, to make it easy math. And each time you got an increase, it was slightly lower and slightly lower and slightly lower until it levels off at 2, basically, toward the end. But every increase you get is going to be an increase that's just that much closer to getting you the item that you need to get into your higher end content. And so that kind of brings me to the players that this is for. This is going to be for players that are going to be trying to actually hit the leaderboards, trying to advance their characters, trying to play multiple units beyond the 3 that their team is set on, because that was my recommendation in my other videos, is to pick 3 characters. Preferably in this season, you want 1 solar, 1 void. Once the season gets to its part 2, you're going to want 1 solar and 1 arc. And so right now I've got that all covered. My crew initially was Atal, Wolf, and Gwen, but then when I realized Atal is okay, but she's not going to be the best art character, I switched that off to Ning. So right now my crew is Wolf, Ning, and Gwen, and those are going to be my 3 characters that I try to max out soon, and I'm actually doing a pretty good job of doing so. So Ning was the most recent character that I was dumping all of my resources into. I was able to get him his exotic and a second copy. I just need 1 more copy next week when I get that additional bonus. That's another key, is I waited until I was getting the weekly bonuses to grind stuff and put resources in, because it maximized my efficiency. And if I wasn't getting a bonus on something, I wasn't spending my pinnacle power on it. And yes, it lengthens the time that you take to do these characters, but you're already going to be bottlenecked by the clusters. So again, your incandescent clusters are going to be the biggest bottleneck. These last 3 nodes are going to take 1 each for 17 and 2 each for 16. So that's 3, and then 6, that's 9. And then you're looking at another 8. So you're looking at 17 clusters, and you're so limited on clusters, you're only going to be able to get them through Calamity Ops. You get 1 for kind of free, basically playing Calamity Ops every 2 weeks, and then you get them based on your cycle here, wherever you are. So right now I haven't done anything because I'm waiting toward the end of the week I was just doing some test runs earlier to see how Ning played, now that I have him high enough over the 67, 870 to run him in Expert 2. And he actually does really well. It's just the other characters I was with, the other people who I matched with, were kind of throwing on their characters. But I kind of wait a little bit to do the Calamity Ops toward the end of the week, toward the end of the cycle, because it's set up to where you place a score and you give that person behind you a target to hit. If I'm not contributing to that, then toward the end of the week, the last few days, I'll know what target I need to hit, and then that puts pressure on people to then catch up. Right now, if I was pushing for that, the only thing that I would really want to push for is if I knew I had people get me in the promotion past this, so that I can get into the next tier. So if if I'm at Expert 2, that'll get me into Master. If I knew I had a team get me in the Master, I'd probably be grinding this every day trying to get that Master score. But right now it's rough anyways to get over the 330. People have done it, but it's not easy. So right now I'm just assuming that I'm going to end up getting in the unchanged, and I'm going to stick with my 5 cores every 2 weeks. And so that again is going to limit me to 1 character per month. So that's something that again I'll discuss in the resource video, but it's important to discuss it in the Acclaim video because with the Acclaim setup, that's going to give you an idea on which characters you're going to focus on. Because again, when you're looking at the Acclaim bonuses, based on where I'm at is going to focus what I'm doing. So now that I have my increased mod drop that I just got, I'm going to spend my time more saving my keys for the Grandmaster Challenge and going into the Strike and trying to get rapid fire mods for Ning or better rapid fire mods for Wolf, depending on what additional bonus it drops with, because again, these have their random perk upgrades. So if I drop one with Hyperamia, I'm going to obviously put that on Ning. And if I get this with Ensuring Yields, I may put this on Wolf, for example. Same thing here. What you're looking for is to try to get like Fraternity. It's a really strong perk, or Annihilation. So you can put those on those weapons. And then with these, you want to make sure that you're getting the weapon type that you're matching with. So for me, I already have a Synesthesia, so I'm good on that. And I think I already have one for Wolf too, but if I didn't, I would put it on Wolf. And so that's the idea, is that I'm just trying to get these mod choice mods for the right types so that I can further level up the characters. And that Acclaim system has kind of guided me into doing that. So when I came into here, as I was unlocking things, that's what's sending me different places. Like when I got the Legendary Campaign ×2 rewards, I started grinding Legendary Campaign only to realize it wasn't really ×2 rewards. It just lets me spend the capacitors so that I do 1 Legendary Campaign and I get 2 of the weekly bonuses in 1 chest. It wasn't that big of a deal, and it was actually a big letdown. Same thing with the Gauntlet Onslaught rewards. I was hoping I would get double the rewards, but really it's just 2 chests in 1, although it does help when you're doing the break-in for Ning's weapon. You can kind of get 2 pulls at that with 1, so you can save 1 run and get to doing time-wise something else. Iron Commander bonus was nice, shortening this down to 30 minutes so that you can get things the same day and not have to worry about it by the time you're done with your like Shadow Shaper duels and stuff, and you're doing your other things. You'll get your Iron Commander stuff in so you can upgrade mainly your mods is what you're going to be using this for, and your weapons if you're trying to get the Illuminite. And of course, you may get lucky and get that additional bonus drop to get additional exotic weapon drops if you happen to get that lucky exotic weapon drop. But once I had my boosted artifact perks and I knew that that was the case, I was grinding chaos, and so those are the ways that I use Acclaim to steer my character progression. And from here, there's really nothing else that I need outside of this additional mod drop privilege of 55. So now that I'm at a certain point where I'm like, okay, I know where I'm at and I know what I'm going to be getting when I unlock these things, now I can kind of settle in and say, all right, well, who am I going to wait for next for my clusters? Because right now, my clusters, I'm saving up 8 for Ning to finish out his signature abilities. So if I'm going back to Ning here, and I'm looking at relic abilities, I need to finish out the high voltage current here. And once I get these 8, I already have the sheaf waiting for him. I'm set on Ning, and I just have to worry about finishing out his exotic weapon to get him maxed, because I'm also almost done with his artifact. As you can see, I only have 2 nodes left. So tomorrow when I get a little bit more pinnacle power, I'm going to run Chaos and try to see what fruit fill in, and then I'm going to use these 17 choice fruits to try to fill in this, and then maybe if I get lucky to try to fill in this, and then also getting the refactor material, and I can focus on here, I'm going to get more of the artifactual essence, and I'll be trying to get this 0 out of 9 pull all the way through until it's maxed out to the 12, and then from there I'll give up and work on another character basically, but at least I've given it the best shot to get him as high a power as possible, because you want to try to get over the power of what you're doing, and in Calamity Ops you want to try to get to around 70k and above, so that way you can do that additional damage. You're capped at around 3,000 plus, but you want to try to get there. And so again, people are saying don't do Acclaim because it's going to prevent you from working on characters, and you're not going to have characters here and characters there. But as you can see, I did Acclaim and I've got my 6 characters here, and while I did spend money, yes, I did get that one bundle with the clusters. The bigger thing that I would say I spent money on was that obviously I got the 1 silver bundle. You get like a huge bonus. You get like almost $200 worth of silver for that $100. Because of that, I don't spend it twice, and Pandora every now and then will be in your DMs like, hey, here's 20 of the exotic cores, and those I think were the biggest like money that I spent to get my stuff up, was being able to get these exotic cores to get to 100 here and like 50 and 60 here, and I don't remember how much this one was, but those additional cores that I spent that drained me of basically most of my silver really were worth it though, because I was able to get Wolf and Gwen pretty high up on the weapon rolls, and then I was able to have some left over for Ning. So now I've got these 3 really high characters, especially Ning, who's a rare character where everybody's always posting an LFG looking for a Ning because not many people had him. And now people have switched and started building up their Nings because of it. There's going to be more, but at the time there was a drought. Another thing that I got kind of unlucky at the same time was that I could never really get anybody but Ning on the crystals. I kept trying to draw for additional Tan 2 crystals and even a Yolder crystal, and every time, no matter what, it was Ning, Ning, Ning. So I unintentionally got all 6 of his crystals. I got 5 through the draw system, and then I got the one that I bought through the dust store from spinning on the draw system. So it all ended up going into the same place, getting those duplicate character crystals. And so that's basically the point that I want to make, is that don't discount the Acclaim system. Don't give up on the Acclaim system. Really focus on breaking through those tiers. Things that really going to stick people in place is when they start hitting these tiers where you have to get silver medals and you don't have the resources, 1 gold medal, and then another gold medal. And then you're going to have to continue to try to get your characters beyond their silver and gold medals so that you can continue to get more objectives, so that you add this pinnacle power to get you higher. But in that process, you're going to unlock all of these things, and these are going to, again, allow you to then build your characters better, spend less time having to waste your pinnacle power on a resource that you don't have because you have a slightly higher percentage. So yes, it's like the min-max people that this is really going to be for in the end, but anybody who just really is into this game and is going to want to use all of the units at their better power, those people will still benefit from the Acclaim system, and those people will still be able to interact with it and get through those early gates. Like getting 2 gold characters, even on a free-to-play account, is possible if you're very, very stickler about how you spend your pinnacle power and your resources, and you want to make sure you're saving them for the right characters, making sure you're not doing extra gilding. You want to stop at 16 on your characters and gilding so that you don't waste a guild that another character could have used to help you break through some of those metal barriers. And if you do that, the Acclaim system will obviously reward you with the better drop rates, which will then help your character get stronger. But players also have to realize where they are in the economy of things. Since I'm a spender and I was able to actually spend on the game because I'm a content creator, right? Like I invest in the game because it invests back in me. Those things allow me to be on the bleeding edge, on the higher end of Calamity Ops. You know, it allows me to have characters that are strong enough to clear the Expanse. Like these are just from the first day. I've only done the Expanse once on each character, and on Gwen, I was able to get the 9-minute rewards. I still have to go back and be a little more efficient and get her 7. And then on Wolf, I'll probably be able to get the 10:30. I don't know about the 9. The final boss is like a ton of damage and is a little bit ridiculous in the way that it's set up with its shields and stuff, and you know, having to deal with all these units shooting at you, the walls break and stuff. So I'm not sure if I'll get the 9 with Wolf. I may have to go in there with Ning and try to get it with Ning, but for sure I can get the 10:30 with Wolf now that I know what to prepare for on the boss. That slowed me down. And then you know, Gwen, I'll have to go and tighten everything up and get her in her 7, and that's still going to give me 2 additional resources before this resets here in about 6 days or so, if I remember correctly. Let's see, yeah, 7 days, 10 hours, and that's going to allow me to go in the treasure hall. I'm going to get more of the artifactual clusters and 2 more exotic mod choices from there. So those are the additional resources that I can get because I've done the Acclaim system, because I'm a spender. And in my comments, people have asked me about how much I've spent and, you know, why I'm spending on the game. My response to those questions is that I would have already spent this money elsewhere. Like if I didn't play Destiny Rising and I wasn't a Destiny Rising content creator, I would have definitely played Borderlands with my friends. I would have definitely gotten Silent Hill. I may have even gotten a 3rd game in there somewhere if I ran through those too quickly. And so let's say I get 3 games at, you know, $70 a piece. That's $210 right there that I would have spent over the same period of time that I've been playing Destiny Rising and Destiny 2 and getting a lot of enjoyment out of Destiny Rising, and then getting content obviously a little bit from Destiny 2 still with some of the Guardian rank stuff and some of the portal changes. So when you equate that and you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to spend $200 over that same period of time being a content creator, doing this as a side gig, right? And also as a hobby, that same money I can put into this game and be on the bleeding edge and make better content for my viewers. It's worth it for me as an investment, as a player, as a content creator, and just overall to have that vision and that experience to see what it's like at the end game. And I'll be making a video talking about what the end game is like and what it's lacking and what it could use. You know, just some feedback on how to maybe make the end game a little bit better, or at least for people who aren't there yet, to prepare them for what to experience, because the end game of Destiny Rising is not exactly what you might think, right? Like you would think in Destiny, the end game is raids, dungeons, Trials of Osiris on PvP side and comp, right? If you're talking about super sweaty levels of comp. Then you have your aspirational content, like your periodical contest modes, and then you have your conquests, which are essentially replacing grandmasters. Like that's the Destiny 2 end game, whereas Destiny Rising end game is completely different. So I'll be making a follow-up video on that. But this one here, just wanted to touch on how to make sure that you're viewing Acclaim, why you want to grind Acclaim, the things that it takes you through. Again, having you go into the legendary campaign and challenging you to clear it without dying, challenging you to use certain abilities, kind of giving you that mini tutorial that kind of pushes you to grow as a character in the game. That's the reason why the Acclaim system is there. It's that extra step beyond getting max level. It's that kind of additional, almost endless level grind that you can continue to grind and grow more powerful because of, and also, save you time on drops and things like that. Even if it's minimal, any little bit helps. Every time they bump the stuff and you go into an activity and you immediately feel the difference, you're like, wow, it should have been like this in the beginning. And so it's good that the developers have slowly, little by little, added more and stacked more. I believe we'll find out tomorrow in kind of the Twid Rising is what I'll be calling it. Everybody's got their own different names. And on that Twid Rising, we'll hopefully see more changes, maybe with something with the Pinnacle power or additional ways to earn fruit, things that we've kind of gone into little bits and pieces in some of my videos. I still haven't made my overall video on a lot of the suggestions that people have thrown in, and I'll probably get to that either later today or tomorrow, depending on time. Thankfully, I'm already done today with my Pinnacle spend. I'm saving everything that I need tomorrow, and I'll get to work tomorrow. But today was a good day. In my first of the month video, check that out so you can see all the stuff that came out today with the first of the month reset. Really good time to log in and get some actual real progress. It feels great to have your characters maxed out finally. I'll see you guys in the next video.